Ballentine is recognized for a question.
Turn the flash off.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't envy your position, but I appreciate the service you've given this body for the number of years. I think this body has gone to great extents to have more people involved in the process and provide information. I appreciate you and your staff doing that. I want to ask some questions just so we're all sure and confident about what we're doing here. As each of us have been here a different period of time learning different things. The overall budget that we're voting today, granted, we only mainly direct the general funds. Is that correct?
That's pretty much correct, yeah.
Okay. There are generally three buckets, though, which consist of general, federal, and other. Today, a vote for this budget would be a vote to appropriate how much dollars?
Total funds?
Yes, sir.
$21.9 billion.
Okay, 21.9.
Right.
All right, and this is for informational purposes. This time last year when we voted for a 21.1 billion budget. Is that correct? When that was ratified when we left?
21 what?
21.1.
That's what it said on the, I believe, on the bill itself.
Okay. So when we left, it was 21.1, but at the end of the year, we ended up spending more than that, correct?
Well, when we left, the bill said 21.1. When they ratified the act, it said 21.8. Because
go ahead.
The bill picks up the 21 million that's actually in 1A, the dollars. The Ratification Act actually brings in those provisos in Section 90 that allocate money from other sources.
Okay.
So that's where that difference comes in, Mr.
Okay.
Mr.
So then that therefore
you actually did appropriate, or I don't think you voted for it, but we actually did appropriate 21.8.
21.8. Okay. And so you mentioned provisos.
There's a difference in the documents, and it's.
I got you. All right, so back to the 21.9 that we're voting on today, though when we add the section for the provisos, it looks like it goes up another 600 million, give or take. So in actuality, our vote today would be for 22.5 versus last year, which ended up being 21.8.
Right, and out of that, you're putting 146 million into the SUDA tax loan repayment, and you're putting, I forget the actual number, we're putting money into the General Reserve Fund and the Capital Reserve Fund, and sending money out to aid to subdivisions, those kind of things. So we don't, all that's not expended by state government. Some of it's put in reserves, some of it's sent out to loan repayment.
I understand. So, but the actual vote is 22.5, but as you mentioned, we did put that in certain pockets, which we thought were priorities. Okay.
That's correct.
Thank you for your question.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your answers.
Mr. Cooper, how much of the 22, that number, is the federal money that simply flows through our budget?
The federal dollars is 8.4 billion, Mr. Speaker.
All right, so that's federal money that flows through the budget.
Right. The other
talk to your congressman if you're upset about that money. Of the other funds, how much are other funds?
Other funds is 8 billion, 11 million.
All right, and that 8.11 million, how much of that is college tuition that just shows?
Dominated by college tuition and the gas tax, and I don't have those two broken out on my
If you could
on
get
top of my
somebody
head,
to
but we'll
break
be
out,
glad
I
to get
think,
that.
for members who may be concerned about what Mr.
Yes, sir.
Ballentine's talking about, if members realize that 8 billion of the 22 is federal money, and that just flows through from the federal government, and that of the other funds, that 8 billion, that how much of that's actually just college tuition that we just have to have show up in our budget, and how much of that is gas tax that actually goes directly to DOT. Those are two very large numbers within the second 8 billion, and I think for those purposes, members need to know that's not $22 billion South Carolina General Assembly is just spending. Over half of that is actually flow-through money that we don't control. Well, we control it technically, but the reality is you either take it or you don't take it in terms of gas tax money, college tuition money, and federal money. Is all that true? All that's true, isn't it?
Yes, sir. That is true.
Thank you.
Nice question, Mr. Speaker. I like those kinds. I feel like I'm on the witness stand.
When somebody says it's a $22 billion budget, I think the body needs to understand you got all that federal money that you don't control, and you got college tuition included in those numbers.
And Mr. Speaker, the federal money is primarily the Medicaid match dollars, which are controlled also by the federal government and how you spend those.
And how much is the gas tax money? Do you have that number?
I don't have that. I thought I did, but
Somebody in staff ought to get you
they're
gas
digging
tax.
that up
Somebody
for
on
us.
staff ought to get you college tuition, because
Yes,
those
sir.
are two numbers that ought to be included anytime that 22 billion conversation is had. All right, Mr. McLeod has a question. Mr. McLeod's recognized.
He's just helping me